Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ, and welcome to number 9 through 12 as we talk about 20 outcomes and objectives to make our conflicts, basically combat, in our tabletop role playing games a bit more interesting. What are the win conditions? Why are we having a conflict in the first place, other than fighting to the death? And then what are the outcomes of engaging in, or preferably not engaging in, fights in our tabletop role-playing game? So we're going to talk about it, but first, grab your snacks, put your feet up. Let's get into it. Now, to be honest, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello. To be honest with you, 20 different types of outcomes and objectives. Yes, the kitty is back. Honestly, we could probably do a D100 table if we really wanted to. We could do our thesaurus deep dive and start getting into little fiddly bits. Like yesterday, we did our, what was it, number 13 to 16 or something. The numbers don't really matter. They're not in any particular order of importance or viability. They are just examples, and we could subdivide the definitions of and the goals of, and I think we could probably do it pretty easily. So today we're going to talk about 4 objectives and 4 outcomes, and in this context, the objective could be either on the player's side, like what is their goal in achieving the objective, or it could be on the enemy side, the adversary, in the sense of if the players do not involve themselves, this is the objective that the enemy is trying to accomplish. Now, of course, tabletop role-playing games tend to default to physical combat and conflict, but this isn't necessarily necessary for conflict. It could be social conflict. I guess it could be financial conflict or things of that nature. And these could be very large or small. Yeah, the show where the numbers don't matter, rules are made up. Yep, absolutely. And you know, it's like, well, it's all made up, isn't it? So let's get into our first definitions. Allow me the opportunity to give this to you right up front, and then we'll get a little deeper. So the objectives today we're going to talk about is block and defend. That's our number 1, or actually, I guess you could call it number 12, I suppose. Block and defend, the rescue and save, very, very classic. The intimidate objective, and then the mask, blend in, cloak kind of objective. Now, a block and defend objective, like most things, is very easy, right? Something is in danger, something needs to be stopped. An important venue, location usually tends to fall into the block and defend category, although very easily you've got a MacGuffin, you've got innocent people, or something fragile, or something of historical significance, or something like that, and it may need to be defended. Although you could have, in a wartime setting, defending a pass, defending a road or a bridge, or a strategic location, high ground or something may also be necessary. And you could add tension timers. We love clocks. We love tension timers in the tabletop community, and tension timers always make for adding the pressure necessary to the players to decide, okay, maybe we kind of, and like I said, we can slice this very thin. So for an example would be that let's say you're defending a narrow pass, like the movie 300, right? Now, they are not in direct relationship with what needs to be protected, but they are defending a location. So the innocent people may be many kilometers or miles away or leagues or whatever, but defending this location may be important, especially if there's a timer, like Lord of the Rings. Look to the east on the third day, right? If you can last that long, reinforcements will come, and that may be the objective, right? Hey, defend the pass so enemies don't cross over, because if they do, there's no way for the community well behind you. Rather, as opposed to defending people who are literally under the heels of the players, which either one is absolutely a viable condition for an objective, right? Also, depending on, vandals want to destroy a museum or institution or government building or whatever, a boat. They want to set it on fire, and you may need to defend it as long as you can until the bucket brigade comes in or something. So many of these will overlap each other and seem similar, which is fine because, again, we can subdivide this into hundreds of different types of objectives, and that's the whole point, just to have a creative spark. None of this is written in stone. Don't hold any of these ideas too tightly. Now we go down into, if we go from the block defend category to the rescue save category, similar, but not exactly the same. So a classic rescue, we can get even more stereotypical, rescue the princess, and in this way, is it one individual or is it a group of individuals? Do we know who the individuals are, or are they just innocent bystanders? I believe there was a military movie where a highly skilled group of soldiers needed to rescue individuals and protect them, save them, and take them through the jungle, only to find out that one of the individuals hiding amongst the group was someone of importance. And then that added a little bit more tension to it, because it was like, well, now we understand why the enemy is so doggedly on our tail. Because if these were just average people, maybe or maybe not, the enemy might find them. But then if you find out that someone is very important because of their lineage or blood or in knowledge they have or an item they're carrying or something, then it may be even more important. Also, in a rescue, to add a twist to a rescue save is there an enemy hiding amongst those being saved? Or maybe there's an enemy that really does want to be saved because they want to switch to the other side. And so you can start adding layers onto this as well. The complication of is the goal to navigate through obstacles to get to the rescue, and then that's when the objective ends? Or is the rescue the halfway point? So characters navigate through obstacles, physical obstacles, social obstacles, to get to the person or people who need to be saved. And then the other half of that is making their way back through enemy territory to get back to a safe location. That's another objective. Also, with having the rescue save, you can always complicate it with social interactions. Like, do the people want to be saved? Do they trust the player characters? Is there one? If there's multiple of them, are they injured, wounded? Are they quick on their feet? Do they listen to the player characters? Are they hard-headed? Are they language barriers are a thing? That kind of thing. Players may need to divide their attention between, hey, I just want to fight the ogres, or do I use an action to interpose myself from those that need to be rescued or defended, expending resources to heal or defend them. Oh, there they are. Yeah, they'll be here pretty shortly. The last two objectives are Intimidate and then the Mask and Blend In. The Intimidate one, real simple, right? Scare them away. And the reason for having an objective is that maybe murder killing the enemy isn't the point. The win condition is something else. In an intimidation, maybe I should put intimidate, maybe I should put intimidation, although it is a skill. In an intimidation objective, it may be necessary to not engage in violence. Yeah, they did. They have just the spay and neuter went well, and they are they are acting as if everything is fine. So very good. Yes, yeah, yeah. Dropped them off by like 9 in the morning. Picked them up around 1:32 in the afternoon. We have a place called Rascal Unit here in Ohio, and that's what they do. They do this service for ferals and things like that. Yeah. Rascal Unit. And we adopted them from a place called Secondhand Strays. So second chance strays. Wow, secondhand. Geesh. Second chance strays. But so maybe a little shout out to them. Maybe I should put that in the chat. Anyway, intimidating the enemy might be important because killing the enemy can be seen as a sign of war. In a criminal organization, there can be many reprisals for murder killing someone. I always bring up Vampire the Masquerade. Vampire the Masquerade had these rules, air quote, rules of engagement when you came to different cities. Rules based on the Camarilla or Camarilla, basically criminal organization rules. And one of the rules was vampires were not so. Hey, Kitty, you coming to visit already? One of the rules is not murder killing another vampire. Now we know. You play the game, you look in the world, they're murder killing each other all the time, but they're coming up with reasons why, or they're hiding their ability to do so. But a better thing is to intimidate them. And one of the reasons for not having violent confrontation all the time, and one of the ways of preventing it, is that if you kill a vampire, hey kitty, yeah, if you kill a vampire, the other clans now have the right to take a blood hunt against you. So if you murder one, 20, 50, 200 might be after you. So intimidation might be pretty important. Also, intimidation doesn't necessarily mean you can follow through with it. Maybe the players have to intimidate an enemy to back off, knowing that they can't follow through with the threat in the first place, or there might be obstacles to follow through with the threat. The players could be agents of a nation state, but what the enemy doesn't know, the adversaries don't know, is that although the players are agents of the nation state, they really can't draw upon those resources, and the difficulty of going like, if you don't back off, we will go to war with your group on the other side of the valley, might not be as intimidating as the players are pretending it to be. Now, the players, of course, are probably badasses, and their intent to intimidate the enemy might be very well and true, but they may be asked to, out of rules, duty, alignment, other restrictions, to say, listen, we don't need the bloodshed, or our nation state doesn't want the violence in the first place. Maybe they're pacifists, or it could be something very important for trade negotiations, and engaging in violence will absolutely positively ruin a trade negotiation, no matter the veracity, the reasoning for such a thing, right? Hey, Michael says Pathfinder 2nd Edition does this well. It has rules and results for intimidating, stunning, sickening, and inflicting other statuses upon foes. These have both in-game effects and set up players for success. Now, mind you, I'm talking very generally here, right? But if your game has a mechanical feature in it, use it. And the funny thing is, like, we bitch and moan about 5th edition, right? But the Dungeon Master's Guide has, in the optional rule for honor and renown, and we could actually use those as a method of curtailing player violence by saying that maybe there's other things that are more important. And so engaging in violence could very well punish the players in terms of their relationships with their allies, and even the enemy as well. And it can also prove, how can I say this? It could be a proof of skill. Hey, can you do this thing without engaging in violence? And if the players are like, nah, I just want to draw swords and roll things, then there you go. Now, unfortunately, a lot of our tabletop role-playing games give all the players abilities and functioning for combat, so not engaging in that damn thing probably isn't conducive to what the players expect. But to change things up, intimidation. Also, let's not forget that until recently, reaction and morale rolls for your NPCs was an included feature. Why they got rid of it, who knows? But the idea was that players didn't have to fight 30 goblinoids if someone rolled up, hey, D100 Hobgoblin War Tribe, 30, roll initiative. There was a reaction roll. So players could get in conflict with 2, 3, 5 of them, and by virtue of their success, scare away or at least drive off the Hobgoblin War Tribe, i.e. engaging in an intimidation objective simply by virtue of the rules that were already in the game. One-Eye Heathen says, I like when systems account for things like when a character is stunned, afraid, caught off guard, etc., but can easily complicate combat. And we talked about hit points before, right? Where there are games that don't use hit points; they use like a condition or wound track, and I like condition tracks too, because in a way it places the onus on the players to deal with something in the narrative, like within the fictional narrative, that doesn't necessarily have to do with points, and it can still have a mechanical feature, right? Like being afraid or stunned or something like that. Many games have a mechanical feature for that, and I like it. Mike says, never ever. Yep. And this is where we start to slice up our objectives, which is awesome, because this means that we have a lot more options. Like I said, we could easily make a D20 table into a D100 table pretty easily. But Mike says, never ever overlook tactics like bribery and coercion too. Opponents have motivations too, so facilitating those motivations through, say, a bag of gold can open doors. Hells yes. Yeah, and think about it. It may not even affect the encounter now. It could affect the encounter, the very next encounter. The lieutenant that goes, "Ooh, they're willing to offer gold," and then later on, the players see that same lieutenant, and that lieutenant of the bad guy goes, if you're willing to offer up that bag of gold again, I might let you in to the bad guy's lair, or give you a map, or tell you what this weakness is, or something like that, which could lead to, one thing leads to another, really. And that's the awesome part of it. All right, so the last objective is the mask or the blend in, and that's where players, classic, going into the city state, into the walled city, and they have to pretend that they are normies, pretend that they're soldiers, pretend that they are part of the king's group, pretend that they're bakers, putting on the mask, putting on the cloak, blending into the environment, not getting into a fight. Now, of course, you could make this an ethical and or morality check for players. Players could go to a dark sun, very dark and dangerous and oppressive regime, and the players are not stopping the abuse that's happening to the innocents, and maybe they're choosing, okay, do we overlook the abuse that's happening, get inside and then beat ass of the leadership, or do we stop the abuse that's happening now? Now you could get into, this is where this is the old alignment fights, right? Where it's like, well, you're not lawful good if you just ignore the abuse, and then the lawful good player is like, look, I'm trying to take down the entire regime. I might have to ignore, the slavers in I don't know, Butcher's Bay or something like that. I know it's from some other IP, but you get the point. Also, the mask / blend in maybe they're there for a rescue. Early Assassin's Creed style, where someone's on the rack or whatever, about to be executed, and then all of a sudden people throw off their cloaks and they're like ready to break the person out and get them away. Yeah. I hear you, Mike. One Eye Heathen says pretending to be bakers would be a fun session. Like they have to pass themselves off as top pastry chefs to deliver a magical cake to an evil king. That's kind of funny. But it's awesome too, right? Also, pretending to be something like entertainers, bakers, something outside of the player's skill set is kind of a fun aside as well. It's like, hey, barbarian, you're going to toss me in the air. And he's like, oh, I get to toss a dwarf. And the dwarf's like, please don't. But players could show off, the magic casting characters could show off for entertainment. The strong ones and acrobatic ones could show off their prowess or something of that nature. So yeah. Mike says running Battletech Destiny. Oh, wow. Battletech, yeah. Currently my players encountered a group of guerrilla infantry mounted on dinosaur-like beasts. That's cool. I thought combat would ensue. Nope. The commander among the PCs negotiated with them and delivered humanitarian aid to their home base and won them over by feeding and protecting them. Exactly. And listen, I'm not saying that players shouldn't get into fights. That's part and parcel of plenty of fantasy and a lot of tabletop games. I'm just saying that to the win condition of, instead of fighting to the death, we could have other objectives, and those objectives could stack or modify the very next objective. Again, like you said, these guys offered. Let me put your part 2 up here. Offered humanitarian aid maybe to an adversary who later on could bolster the PCs or not alert the enemy, the higher level enemy, and goes, you know what, you helped us out, we're going to let you go. We're not even going to alert the enemy, alert our side, which would be the enemy, that you're coming. And the players are like, good, no more reinforcements, right? Now, we do have outcomes as well. And outcomes and objectives kind of overlap quite a bit. And from my definition, an outcome is what happens if the players do or do not. there is no try, right? It's if the players don't engage, this is a thing that's going to happen. Or if the players do engage, this is an outcome. And the outcome is like it's a tension timer. It's a ticking time bomb. It is intended for tension to happen so that the pressure builds, that the players understand this is the foreshadowed events, that if they engage in this thing or do not engage in the thing, this is what's going to happen at the end of it. So the 4 we have here are entrapment, distance, bankruptcy, and reputation. So entrapment is being arrested. It could be being arrested, caged, caught, trapped in a literal or virtual web. Entrapment could be evidence against the player characters that it's their fault. Entrapment could be against NPCs that the players are trying to protect, and instead, hey, we must save the politician because their enemy is going to drop a bomb and get them entrapped with evidence or something of that nature. This could be something part of the environment. You're traveling, there's horrible weather or some kind of ecological event happening, and if you don't leave this area, the rock slides and avalanches will entrap the players in this dangerous part of the environment. This could happen with a sinking boat. This could happen with the players in a dungeon that is flooding because of torrential rains. This could be players already entrapped in cages, or those giant spiders spinning webs in and around the region, and if they don't scramble out of the place, the webs will trap them inside of the dungeon or the pit or something of that nature. The players could be escaping out of a city, and there are guards that are trying to go after them, and you give the players a certain amount of time, or they have to earn so many successes, or whatever the case may be. And if they don't, they are entrapped. You can't escape. You're surrounded by crossbow wielding and pike wielding soldiers or something. Distance. What I mean by distance is that the MacGuffin is too far away. The MacGuffin could be traveling by cart, or by Pony Express, or on a boat, or through a dimensional portal, or whatever. And how many times have we seen stories where our heroes are doing battle with the enemy, and one of the villains goes away, takes the gemstones, takes the missives, takes the chained up or roped up innocent, and puts them in a car or something like that. Daryl, hey, how you doing there? We over here on this corner of the interwebs, that's all we do is come up with imaginative things. So I appreciate the I do run games when I can, but the imagination is, we exercise our brain like we would exercise our bodies over here. So Mike says every player chases that Batman reputation. Yep. It doesn't matter if your game is fantasy, sci-fi, horror, superheroes, or whatever. Yeah, there's always at least one where reputation is king. And, distance, having an objective where, the outcome is that what you're looking for keeps getting further and further away. So the gold on the boat set sail, and the players have to run down to the docks before they cut the ropes and sail off. Let's go back to the nobles. The nobles are trapped on a stagecoach, and they're riding away as fast as they can, and the players are like, we need to go after them. We need to get some horses, or jump on wyverns or bats or griffins and fly after them, or something like that. And that's where the outcome is, if you don't do something, it's going to get farther away. So do the players stop and get into a fight, or do they try to dodge the enemy to fly as fast as they can to go after the objective? Now, I understand many of us are very used to the current 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons, which actually has rules that make it difficult to disengage and to run. Like, the chase rules, or chase/race rules, aren't very interactive. And if you just use movement values, that's not very dynamic. But you could do again, you could do a success rate. Like, hey, you need to make 3 successful animal handling checks to get your beast to go as fast as it can after the enemy. And then the enemy makes a roll. You need at least 3 successes to catch up with them, and they need 3 successes to get away from you. Whoever gets there first, right? Whoever gets to 3 first, or something like that. I don't know, whatever. But I do appreciate the compliment, but that compliments everybody else here. Bankruptcy. Listen, steal a copper piece from a player character, and you will find an enemy forever, right? So the players, now bankruptcy doesn't have to affect the players. It can affect a nation state, a criminal organization, a small village, a few allies, or whatever. And engaging in a battle of violence could bankrupt a community, right? Hey, listen, your community only survives by virtue of our good graces. And if that small village doesn't pay up, we will never let you. You're not going to be defended by us. We can't afford to let you into our city state when things get dangerous. And the players are like, we don't care. We still want to beat up the ogres. And the community is like, no, please don't do that. When you leave, we still have to pay for our protection. And that's the feudal system, right? Like, we pay for it with food and labor and things of that nature, and we don't want to go bankrupt. Although a major battle with throwing fireballs and things like that could burn down crops, which effectively could bankrupt a community as well, because they're like, listen, you guys are badass adventurers, but we still need to grow crops, and you just burned, acres upon acres of this stuff down. Really? Bankruptcy could also be collecting taxes. It could be player characters who believe that their henchmen and retainers will watch their money when they're out there gallivanting around, and it's like, nope. Mike says the threat of bankruptcy. Oh, yeah. The threat of bankruptcy in BattleTech is no joke. A mercenary company lives on cash. So you may have noble intentions and desires, but you gotta keep the lights on. Yep. And the difficulty of choosing when and where to do a thing, I feel, is the bread and butter of role-playing games. The fact that either choice isn't a good choice, I think, is a great choice, right? Like, okay, players are like, we need money. We're high level, double digits, right? 10th, 11th, 15th level. And it's like, we could leave our community that we built up and go out there and solve it ourselves. But is it better to just pay underlings to do it for us? They're 7th level, they're 5th level, let them do it, right? Or they leave and they go, I wonder how much it's going to cost us to keep our castle or fort or religious institution or whatever criminal organization running with enough money to here we go back to what you said before, Mike, about bribery and coercion and blackmail and things like that. Money is a great lubricant for social interaction. And it's like, we could fight, and then someone drops down a huge sack of coins and they're like, or we can exchange this, right? But the other side of that is the bankruptcy part, where, you know what, we may have to give up all our gold just to keep these hordes of enemies away from us. That hobgoblin military organization of 30 plus hobgoblins may go, you know what? Pay us so that we can buy better equipment and better weapons, and we will wait till next season and we'll talk about it then. We'll back off. And the players are like, woo, we just avoided war with a bunch of our gold. Time to go adventuring again to re-up, right? Now, reputation. You hurt somebody's reputation. Yeah, it's the we are pretending to be civilized, and the first person to draw blood loses, even if they're the winner. We see this plenty of times with bad guys that are constantly poking at the good guys, right? Constantly calling out their name, calling them cowards, calling them stuff. No, why? Why? Because of reputation. That's why. And hello as well, warrior. We've got spies. We've got nameless spook, and we've got the warrior class. Now we need a nameless spellcaster and a nameless priest or faithful or something like that. That's what we need. But yes, the idea that being violent will ruin someone's reputation is extremely important, and part of the Legend of the Five Rings, where you play samurai, and it very much is part of that, right? Like, if you guys have seen the television show Shogun that appeared on FX/Hulu here in the United States, I believe the first episode of the show, the nobles are talking with each other, and they are speaking in subtle threats to each other. And one of the lesser samurai is offended by it. And literally that one samurai, who are all sitting outside the room, inches his foot one toe into the room. And that offense, he literally moved one toe in the room as if he was going to draw his sword, like, you bad, basically like, what? You said what to my leader? My daimyo? F you. And he put one foot in the room and all hell broke loose. Not violent, but he had to pay with the life of his child and himself to make amends for just stepping once in the room. And it was very interesting. And so, yeah. Daryl says, watched the Twister movie. Okay. Team of young scientists made a morally dubious decision to help their financiers snatch up destroyed property to pay for their research to help control tornadoes. Yes. What is it? People, there are those who will buy up very cheap property after it gets destroyed. And strangely enough, that's actually a really good, thank you very much for bringing that up, Daryl. That's a really good plot for bad guys, right? Hey, the village got burnt down, the city-state got overrun, and then all of a sudden behind them, they're just like, I got my group of gnomes and dwarves, we can easily rebuild. You give us a section, if you give us a piece of it, hey, you guys can move out, we'll take this over, no big deal, we'll take it as is. I understand it's still smoldering, but yeah, I like that idea too, right? Like, why does the dragon fly over and burn out the community? Because he's trying to be a real estate mogul. Funny, but actually kind of smart and brilliant, and a bit, could you do it more than once? I don't know, but it would be kind of fun though. Mike says, so regarding the Hobgoblin army, that sounds like tribute, yeah? Yes, that's historically accurate, regardless of period. Yeah, the number of times where Rome paid off barbarians. Ooh, but if you do it once, expect to do it repeatedly. Exactly. So let me leave your first comment up here. It's funny because we tend to think in tabletop role-playing aspects that having a battle is to the death. And the vast majority of violent conflict around the world isn't about killing the other side, it's about obtaining something else. Actually, the best outcome for two sides of a war is to not fire a single shot. That one side gives tribute to the other, whether it's land or promises or, should I say it? Beneficial tariffs. Ooh, did I say, ooh, too soon? Again, tariffs, land, knowledge, access to your place. So yeah, a Hobgoblin army would take the cash, and guess what? They probably want more, and they would not only demand an equal amount, they would demand more, and probably more often, because guess what? You paid once, you'll do it again, which is unfortunate because sometimes the better thing is to get into the fight anyway, because the bully is going to bully. Bullies are going to bully, right? And if they get away with it once, they're going to keep trying to get away with it. You are dead asleep there, kitty. You're so silly. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to introduce, it's hump day, it's Wednesday, and to come up with interesting objectives and outcomes for battles, to take something very simple and the most boring encounter you can ever think of, and if you just add an objective and an outcome to it, you can make it so much interesting. So let's take the most boring outcome. Players are on a road and there's bandits. The prototypical, I don't have a good idea what I'm going to do in this game. Players are going down the road and there are bandits that come out of the woods or wilderness or something and surround them and demand money. What happens? All right, so the block and defend is pretty easy, right? If the players are with a caravan or something, maybe they have to block defend. Now, mind you, this overlaps with what Drew mentioned earlier, which is, let's see if I can go to it. Was it yesterday? I believe it was yesterday, where it was protection. Yes, protect. The right here, and that is the protect. Now, in terms of going down the road and having bandits, maybe it's not protecting the caravan. Maybe the players are stationary and they are protecting a particular portion of the road, if that makes sense. I know I am being fiddly here because I'm trying to wiggle myself out of a funnel, out of a wedge that I put myself in. But the players could be guardians on a road where there are other travelers and they're just defending that particular part of the road that just happens to have travelers versus traveling with a nomadic group. But the same thing could happen with a campsite, or the players they are with religious pilgrims and there is a special grove or monument or building or statue or something, and protecting and defending that location might be more important than literally the people involved in it, right? It's like, maybe this is a little too soon, but it's like the protecting the United States. We have very important locations. Remember January 6th and the Capitol building? There is a emotional, dare I say, security of defending important locales that are the pinnacle of honor and authority, and allowing those places to be destroyed, vandalized, overrun, dismantles it's a physical embodiment of dismantling the power and influence and, dare I say, divinity of people. Mike says, never underestimate the power, the power of a seat at the table. Hell yeah. Granting a people a voice in political discourse carries weight. Warring orc or hobgoblin nations might be fighting for a number of reasons. I did this plot. Yep. Giving them the ability to make those needs public and giving their people's representation at a council might abate the need for war. I did this very thing. So I had a situation start out where the goblinoids brought in carts filled with their dead bodies of their women and children. It was basically Keep on the Borderlands Part 2. So the players go into the Caves of Chaos, killed a bunch of monsters, and came back out. Well, the follow-up to that was the goblinoids brought those dead bodies into town and said that the holy knights of the Order of the Silver Flower, whatever, killed our people, and the public saw it, the ramifications of that, and gave them a seat at the table and cast out the knights. They became exiles, and then they became the bad guys in the following adventures and stuff like that. Mike says, I've seen that before at my own table, and that's an awesome plot, right? Especially if the bad guys are at a seat at the table and looking across at the players. Star Trek and the Klingons is a perfect example of this, right? Like the Klingons, we've been at war with them, the Romulans too, right? We've been at war with them forever, and all of a sudden they have a seat at the table, and the good guys are like, damn it, now we have to talk with these people. Daryl says, bandits could be cohorts of the protectors. They split the spoils gained by travelers. Absolutely. There's something to be said for having a common enemy. And how easy is it for those in politics to point at yet the next enemy? And here in the United States, we do stick and carrot all the time. The stick is, if you don't support us, the enemy will hurt you. Therefore, I hate to say it, it's like extortion. It'd be a shame to burn down your bakery. It'd be a shame for your bakery to burn down. Pay us, and that will never happen. That's the stick. The carrot is, follow us. We'll give you good things. You don't even have to all you have to do is support us. We will give you money, we'll give you influence, we'll pat you on the back, we'll make you seem like you're important, that kind of stuff. Politics is love to do stick and carrot, and that rubs people the wrong way when you can actually punch other people in the face. So players being badasses might not work as well as they seem. So yeah, the block defend objective, the rescue and save objective, is a really good one. Very, very classic. Save the people that have been captured. Now, twisting a lot of these is also very good too. Yeah, mob bosses do this all the time. As a matter of fact, organized crime and mob bosses love to intertwine themselves into politics, economics, the social order, because it gets to the point where if you get rid of them, things will fall apart. And organized crime can get things done that the bureaucracies cannot. And so that becomes, that's also a great thing for players, where the players are like, oh, we can go kill the crime boss, but the city doesn't want you to do that, right? Hey, here in the United States, guess what? During Prohibition, they had the alcohol when alcohol was illegal. Organized crime deals drugs and prostitution and human trafficking and so many other crimes that the rest of the public actually benefits from, for good or bad, right? It's like, hey, I want to gamble. I can't get a loan, but I sure can get one from a loan shark. And in order to keep my casino going, I love people betting the farm because it just makes me richer. Yep. And even till today there, Mike says, the amount of times I've heard bend the knee and live otherwise. Listen, I know you're north of us across the border, right? And that's being said by our politicians today. As a matter of fact, there are people who use that technique even in their personal lives. Like, you must believe and follow everything that I believe in. If you don't, you're cast out of the family. You are cast out of this job. What's the big thing people say here in politics? Like, if you don't like it, go back to your own country. And it's like, you do realize that 99% of us are descendants of visitors from someplace else, right? But that's a thing people say. You're not American if you, and then they fill in the blank, right? Mateo says, what kind of life have you lived? Yeah, it's like, well, damn it. But you know what? There are some legitimately functioning communities, unfortunately run by criminals. And sometimes the people are like, I'd rather the devil I know than the devil I don't. And so, or the evil I know versus the evil I don't. And bribery is just a normal way of doing things. Graft, intimidation, it's just a way of doing things. Daryl says, my union president, blah, blah, blah. My union president got me 2 days off a week by threatening an unrelated issue of my postmaster. I'm a letter carrier too. And yeah. Union versus workers. Yeah. He's like, I'm aware. I'm very aware. Yeah. Nameless Spook says, on the topic of mob bosses, free setting, okay, an Avatar Airbender idea. All right. 1930s Prohibition, the party has to track a water-bending rum runner, who calls himself the Hooch Bender and fights with booze. That's funny. As a matter of fact, I'm sure you guys know this. The race car industry, NASCAR, was created because of, it got its origins through Prohibition. So for those who don't know, during the 1930s, prohibition, alcohol was illegal. And to run alcohol from one place to another, they put it in a car or truck and they drive very fast to get from one place to another and hope they don't get caught. And the police and state troopers and all that kind of stuff would try to go after them. And on the weekends, the cops and the bad guys knew each other by name. And the hooch bender. Hell, what's the live action movie where the good guy who could bend water rips his arm off and uses his own blood as to bend the water and use it as an attack? Riders of the Storm, something like that. It's pretty interesting. Something. Yeah. I think it's Riders of the Storm. But you guys tell me. You guys look it up. I'm not going to do that. Although if you do find it, I will put it in the chat. Mateo says, through intimidation and corruption, the mob used the labor unions. For everything from extortion, bribery, and embezzlement to price fixing and kickbacks. They sure did. Unfortunately, and here's where you get into that good part, bad part thing. The only reason the unions even existed was because of the extortion and extraction of the public by basically overworking people and underpaying them and abusing labor. So, yeah, wherever there's money and power, there's going to be corruption. So yeah, unions didn't exist out of a void. Because I get that a lot, where it's like unions are stupid, unions are evil, and it's like, nah, well, yeah, but whose fault is that? Oh, that's right, the employers. Yeah. In the late 1800s, gangsters had exploited the division between unions and management by supplying muscle. Yep, sure did. Muscle to both sides to break up picket lines or beat up the scabs who crossed those lines. Yes, they sure did. Pinkertons, anybody? I think the Pinkertons still do that, kind of, to this day. That's where the word scab came from, that you choose not to align with the union's position and cross a picket line. Yeah, that bootlegging was in a Tom Hardy movie. Yep, sure was. Yeah, and if you want to go back further than that, it was in a classic movie, The Untouchables. Yeah. What's the famous line from The Untouchables? Bring a gun to a knife fight. They put one of us in jail. We put one of them in the morgue. Something like that. Whatever. I can't remember the exact line, but. Yep, reminds me of Drunken Master. Drunken Master 1 and 2, to be honest with you. Yeah. I think Drunken Master 1 and 2 were 20 years apart from Jackie Chan. Hey, Kitty. Yes, Kitty, I love you too. I sure do. Yes. Reminds me, Drunken Master really is a fighting technique all about misdirection. Yeah, making it look like you're unstable when you are. Here we go. Here in Nova Scotia, our version of the moonshiner was the rum runner. Okay. Fast-moving, light ships running blockades to deliver booze during Prohibition. Yeah. You were knocked the hell out. All right, Kitty. You're so funny. You know what? I may be repeating bad information. It says I'm all for unions. Unions are great. Yeah, well, minus the corruption, right? But it's unfortunate. It's like, yeah. USA makes unions out to be bad things. Otherwise, elsewhere they are the opposite. Okay. Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. Abuse of wherever there's power. You're going to find abuse. So, yeah. Yep. Yeah, Spook said, yep. That's why I brought the Pinkertons. Yep, Pinkerton still exists. WotC sent them to get an unreleased set of cards they accidentally gave to a streamer customer, which, I don't know, in exchange of money or access probably would have been a better thing than calling the Pinkertons. But let's not get back into that. What an idiotic outcome of that. Wow. Says, oh yeah, I'm getting shit mixed up. I don't. You're fine. So anyway, by the way, guys, thank you very much for bringing your brilliance and whatnot. We love world building over here. We love coming up with great ideas. Drunken Master, man, I haven't. You are correct. I have not seen that one, but it's got one of the most brilliantly choreographed and expertly done boss battles, I guess you'd call it, end fights. We have a long reputation for pirates, privateers, rum runners, survival, and guerrilla warfare. Hey, listen, building a community out of that, it's weird too, right? Like, here in the States, people are offended by having a, dare I say, less than savory origin story. And I'm thinking, like, why would you be offended by that? Right? Why wouldn't you have a pride in both going, hey, we came from humble backgrounds, and also saying, listen, we've risen above what we used to be. The United States is built on some pretty horrible shit. The fact that people are trying to erase it is crazy to me. It's like, why? It's so weird to me. So many countries around the world are like, no, we were bastards. I mean, we're better now, but, hey, I mean, listen, our Northern European counterparts love their Viking heritage, right? Not a very nice, not nice, what will I say, a peaceful lot. Pretty harsh, pretty brutal communities that happened in the Viking era. A lot of turnover. One-Eyed Heathen says, my grandmother was raised in speakeasies. I lived in the home my mother purchased that I grew up in was a HUD home, and it used to be a speakeasy. So let's get into the speakeasies. My grandmother was raised in a speakeasy. No shit. She never told us until she really started aging. Apparently, my Uncle Ted was an alcoholic. Other than the family knew, it checked out. For those who don't know, a speakeasy was an illegal bar. It was an illegal bar and grill. People would have a house or a building or a barn or a basement or an alley or something like that, and you only knew if you knew. And it was called a speakeasy, as in, like, you didn't really talk about it unless you knew someone and you knew how to get in. And if you got in, there was music and dance and a lot of booze. And the house I lived in, the basement was a speakeasy. And there were people who came by the house when we first moved in for like the first year to find out if it was still open. It was fun. But I didn't realize what was happening. My mom was like, get out of here, go away, and stuff like that. But people did stop by the house to see if it was open. One-Eyed Heathen says, I mean, pirates had clans. This was back in the 80s. Gangs have leadership and representatives and all that. Hell yeah. Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, many criminal organizations will negotiate and deal with police and other law enforcement to keep themselves. It's like, hey, we may be bad, but those guys over there are even worse. We'll tell you who they are and what they're doing. It's pretty crazy. Wow, a real juke joint. Yeah, all the stuff was taken out, but there was a hidden wall so that strippers could dance behind the wall, and it was in our basement. And that thing behind the wall was my little gaming area. It was kind of cool. You couldn't game in it, but I could put books and stuff back there. But it was fun knowing that the little enclosure, because the little enclosure had a doorway and a plexiglass window, and it was pretty interesting to have my Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game books, knowing where there was nakedness that happened in the past. So yeah. Mike says, we love our history. Yeah, we love our history and now have a reputation for hospitality. Great food and peace. Yep. Damn Canadians invading us with your good manners and humor. Damn it. Oh, man. That's until we're riled up, and then it's like Donkey Kong. There's a reason the NS Highlander Regiment has a reputation for no retreating footsteps. Nova Scotia? Yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it. Daryl says, sure makes interesting stories. Hell yeah. The best stories come from an homage to things that have happened in the past, the present, and probably in the future. Yeah. Just wow, that's amazing. Oh, that's right. Yep. Mike's absolutely correct. The Italian mob protected New York ports from Nazis in World War II. That is very true. That is very true. Yeah, and to bring this back so that we can get out of here, to bring this back to our tabletop role-playing idea here, how interesting would it be for that same damn hobgoblin mercenary war tribe to be not just hired, but to be in alignment with the goodly peoples, right? Now, the hobgoblins might be very brutal. They could be very, they could be extortionists of a sort, but maybe there's a community that says, you know what, it's worth it to pay them. And honestly, we kind of like having the hobgoblins as a first defense. We want them to camp out in the valley, because they have, in order to get to us, you got to go through the hobgoblins first. Therefore, we don't want you to get rid of the hobgoblins in the valley. But the hobgoblins, or another evil group or something, or agent or whatever, the players may need to navigate I'm going to call them the goodly people that are on the coast, go through the valley of the hobgoblins to achieve a goal, or vice versa, right? And how do you do that without always getting into a fight? Now, they could let's say the players are badasses and they murder kill all the hobgoblins, or at least most of them, and they do intimidation, right? Intimidation objective, and get the rest of them to run. And the goodly people are like, damn it, okay, now you better park in the valley. And the players are like, we're not doing that. And they're like, well, you just opened up the gateway to get us overrun, because our resources are very valuable and everybody wants them. Are you trying to get down, Kitty? Thank you, Kitty. The War of 1812. That makes sense there. Heathen says, I'm going to look up the War 1812. I am supposedly related to a bootlegger in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Okay. Now it is a family story, and there is do you mean female establishment in Fort Wayne, but have never been able to verify any of that? I mean, it makes sense though, right? Like, I mean, we tend to imagine ourselves being like, we wish that our bloodlines were those of high authority and nobility. But to be honest, are you licking my arm? You're having a field day. You're going to bite me, aren't you? You were probably going to bite me. Oh, thank you so much there, Kitty. But yeah, I mean, finding out, and actually, that's a really great secret to have for nobility in a fantasy game, or actually any game, that the people who are supposed to be noble and righteous and without sin are descended from criminals. And the decadent, the evil, the evil, right? And some people might shrug their shoulders and go, "Yeah, I get it, but whatever." But there's some people who get really offended by that kind of thing and feel like their reputation would be ruined, whether it's they've internalized it, like if someone knows this secret, I'm ruined. But the public may go, "Oh, that's a cool story. Tell me more about it." Lesser of two evils, hiring the hobgoblins to protect the east flank because a Knoll army is coming. Exactly. And maybe the players never find that out, or find that out too late by doing battle with the hobgoblins, and the last of the hobgoblins are dying, and they're like, "You are so wrong. The gnolls will take over. They are devil spawn. They worship fiends. You bastards." Dead, right? And the players are like, "Oh shit, evil." Yeah. The War of 1812. It was drunk Nova Scotians who burned down the Grey House, which when rebuilt became the White House. Is that it? That what happened? I do remember the White House, the original, not the original. The White House was burned down in the past. Was that the War of 1812? Wow. I did not know that. That's funny. Yeah, the Mermaid Man evil lives rent-free in our heads. Yeah. Daryl says, I know a lot of Montana ranchers made their fortunes in bootlegging, but my granddad won his ranch in a poker game. That's so funny. That's awesome. Yeah, unfortunately, the one thing they don't make more of is more land. Ugh. Never again will I ever underestimate the power of a drunken Nova Scotian. I'm learning an important lesson this morning. So have I. It's like, bring prohibition back. The Nova Scotians are going to take over. You get them drunk and they become CR12 monsters. Okay, I'm gonna let you down. There, kitty. This is Brutus, by the way, for those who don't know. Brutus is a he, and her sister, who's knocked out, is Scarlet. We got them from a shelter. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. We're gonna do 2 more of these just through the week, just to talk about like making the battles better, having some objectives, whether they have mechanical features or not. That's up to you. Whether you want to incorporate some of these, or maybe retcon some of these battles and go, oh, remember that time when you fought the bandits on the road? Well, they were actually the first wave of the hobgoblin army, and blah blah blah. Yeah, hail Brutus. Yeah, where are you? Are you back up here? There he is, little puffball. Yeah, it doesn't have his adult fur in yet. It's just like, it's more like hair. It's pretty kind of a Brutus. You will never be assassinated. He keep want to call she. He's trying to get in. Oh, thanks. I'm kind of considering getting a kitty cam. What you cannot see where my arm is pointing is a 6 foot kitty condo. Oh man, thanks guys. Thank you very much for being part of the show. Thank you very much for being here. We're going to end on that note, and just love to be creative on this side of the interwebs. Things are very stressful out here, so for about an hour-ish, we can alleviate ourselves of the stresses that are coming. Yeah, very much panda-like. Yep. Daryl Irrit says, thanks for the flavorful ideas. No, thank you for being here to be part and parcel of these ideas. Come by, steal an idea, brainstorm with us. I love using pop culture and current events, maybe not too current, but current events to shape some ideas. Sometimes I'll follow things like what is it? The Shadow Dark Kickstarter, over $1 million for the Western Reaches, things like that. We might talk about some current events that way as well. But I try to keep a theme at least early on, maybe the first 15 minutes, and after that we kind of devolve into chaos, and then at the end we kind of wrap it up with a summary of our best ideas, and that kind of happens pretty regularly over here. So thank you very much for being part of the show, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Mike, for stopping by. I hope you're doing much better, both economically and physically as well. And don't cry for us, Argentina. We here in the States are going through some chaotic times. I know you. There are at least 2 of us here who are in the postal family, and we're going through some changes here. People not understanding that the postal service is in the constitutional amendments people that think that, you know, the post office could be privatized for some reason, or that people should have their rights should be different if they live different places. It's not a thing. So appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much for being part of the show. Have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye.